If COVID-19 wasn't dominating the news right now, what would be some of the biggest stories be right now? The US government wanting to ban end-to-end encryption. It's ducking stupid. What I've heard is that companies that continue to use end-to-end encryption will be stripped of their Section 230 protections. They will then be responsible for any illegal chiz found on their platform, which will really duck up every social networking platform, because there's gonna be illegal chiz on there. Companies that comply and remove their E2E encryption will keep their Section 230 protections, but essentially open up their platform to a host of security vulnerabilities. As a cybersecurity enthusiast, I should point out that a ton of its supporters seem very uninformed on the benefits of E2E encryption. It's a stupid idea. Edit. For those wondering why the government is even considering this, it's because the bill supporters claim it will bring child predators to justice. It's a stupid idea that won't work, and I honestly don't see how anyone with the slightest bit of clarity could think otherwise. Wouldn't this kill online banking? The US government trying to pass an anti-child porn law that actually just gives them the ability to search through all of our messages. Edit. If you want to learn more about this act, here's a link to an article with some great information. And also bans end-to-end encryption. If you know anything about internet security, you know that would be devastating to literally everything that's based online in any way whatsoever. They pulled it off successfully with the Patriot Act against terrorists, so why not do it with pedophiles, despite immunity being granted to the rich ones? The nearly 2-year-long Ebola outbreak in the DRC has ended. The last patient to be treated has survived. Wow. I was worried about this a couple of months ago, but then the pandemic that must not be named took over my attention and I forgot about it. Incredibly brave people fighting Ebola. Such a scary disease. Wow, I didn't know that Ebola was treatable. The 2020 presidential election. Never thought I'd be thankful for a pandemic. Seriously, who the duck is going to win? The former king of Spain and his Swiss accounts. Wow, that is crazy. Seems like it's the perfect time to get away with whatever you want. And the fact that through those accounts he received 100 meters from Saudi Arabia, and that he's being sued in the UK for threatening his ex-lover, all the while Spanish courts refuse to open an investigation. I would hope the locusts plaguing East Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian subcontinent. It's describing some swarms as being the size of New York, and they are eating their harvest, threatening widespread famine. I think without coronavirus we would mobilize to try to control this population the way we did for Zika carrying mosquitoes in the Americas. Edit. This NPR article describes how in 2018 an unfortunate series of cyclones from the Indian Ocean hit an extremely remote area of the Arabian Peninsula known as the Empty Quarter. This produced extraordinary rain and gave them what they needed to breed. Because a second cyclone hit occurred during their breeding cycle, instead of drying out and having most of their population die out in the desert, the population exploded. In favorable conditions they can multiply by 400x their population every 6 months. Then they migrated. Also, for clarity, a swarm was identified as 3 times the size of New York City. Plagues, wildfires, locust. I know things like this happen, but definitely getting some apocalypse vibes. Just one horseman at a time please. Probably the oil price war actually. Saudi Arabia is trying to force the Russians into cutting production, since they won't play ball with OPEC Plus, and US shale might pay the prices we need high cost for this entire industry to function. I'd argue right now that, if COVID wasn't happening, neither would the oil price war. They can only drop the price of oil super cheap, because demand dropped through the floor. I work in the oil industry. This is huge right now. It's honestly just about the same as the coronavirus for us. Powers getting cuts, people losing their jobs, etc. All due to oil price and not coronavirus. US shale is paying the price. Even without the virus, it would kill our economy. Yes, it did start before coronavirus, but the impact happened at the same time. One of the main routes into downtown Seattle, the West Seattle Bridge, was closed yesterday because cracks in support beams made it structurally unsound. It will take several months to fix and will not reopen until it's done. This would normally destroy the entire Seattle commute, but it happened right now, so it's barely even a blip on the local news. Real talk, this was probably the best possible time for this to happen. Are people there taking the virus seriously and staying home? Feel like I haven't heard anything about how you were doing out there. That Putin changed his country's constitution so he can be president until 2036. I think we've all known for a while that dude's going to leave power in a casket, and not a moment sooner. To be honest, I'm not so much afraid of Putin being in power longer. I'm more afraid of when he finally kicks the bucket and leaves a power vacuum behind. I'm not a fan of the man myself, but he's better than a warmonger arising and creating the Cold War Part 2. ISIS bombs Sikh place of worship in Afghanistan. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Edit 2. For everyone mentioning my previous edit, I'm Sikh myself, so it touches my heart that so many people care about this. I'm not trying to be insensitive or bombing the Sikhs. I know it's ISIS, but come on guys. Afghan officials say 25 were killed and 8 more are wounded in an attack on the Sikh temple in the nation's capital. It appears multiple gunmen stormed the temple complex, while there were approximately 150 people inside. A Sikh who took cover says the militants went room to room, shooting and throwing hand grenades. The Islamic State organization has claimed responsibility. Enthroom case in Korea. Telegram porno sexual slavery ring with 74 victims including underage girls. The Telegram groups has estimated at least 10 to 30,000 subscribers. The Enthroom perpetrators are accused of luring victims, including minors, into sending sexually explicit photos and videos. In some cases, this escalated to using blackmail to force victims into increasingly violent acts, including sexual assault. Absolutely disgusting. I'm surprised that this news didn't get bigger internationally. Edit. Reporters at Cookman Ilbo observed about 25,000 users across 30 such chat rooms. One of the guys in charge of the rooms has had his identity revealed and the rest, one other main guy and the people who participated, are being investigated as of right now. Reports are saying that a few high-profile celebrities, professors, and athletes are some of the 260k involved in the viewing and or distributing of the illegal contents, which is unsurprising considering the entrance fee to access these rooms were between $300 to $1,500. Hope justice is served and served well. Korean law is known to be very forgiving for sex crimes, so I hope things change with this. Edit. Here is an article you can read to get more INFORMATION-TWO with one of the victims. Another in-depth article. Edit 2. It's been recently reported that one of the youngest victim include one as young as 9 years old, 11 years old, and also an underage female idol/singer. Saw it on BBC News top stories this morning, then was quickly pushed down the order. Astronomer here. We might have a bright naked eye comet next month in the northern hemisphere, our first since 1997. Comet C/2019 Atlas Y4 is brightening really quickly, and by May, might be one of the brightest things in the night sky. I mean, comets are notoriously tricky to predict in brightness, as it might just break apart as it gets closer to the sun. But it's really exciting to think about, albeit no one has heard about it because of the pandemic. Though granted, doesn't a pandemic need a bright comet? Edit. You might be able to get it in binoculars right now, or at least have fun trying. Here is a star chart for it. And yes, the last bright northern hemisphere great comet was Hale-Bopp, which was up for about a year to the naked eye. If you were a southern hemisphere resident in 2006, however, you probably remember Comet McNaught. Edit 2, because many are asking, that bright star in the evening sky is actually Venus. It's around its peak brightness and height right now, and you should go take a look, if your social distancing allows it. Might as well take a break from Netflix, and look at a whole nother planet. Edit 3, no, there is no chance of the comet hitting us, or affecting life on Earth beyond potentially getting bright. You know what? I'm really excited for this. Thank you for that information. Glad to see you're still hanging around. Thank you for all you do. I'd like to say the Earn It Act, but shiz like this doesn't tend to make the news. Earn It is only on the table because of Covid-19. There's no way they would try this if we weren't distracted. It's amazing to me. The simple fact that this is impossible to implement. But that's not enough to stop them. It's one of the most disruptive acts I have ever seen. Bunch of old dumb people making rules without even remotely understanding the implications. CRISPR was just successfully injected into a live patient to treat genetically caused blindness. Source: Alex Salmon. Whoa, that's awesome. CRISPR is both a blessing and horribly terrifying. Edit: as per usual, Exurb 1A comes in handy to give levity to a heavy subject while giving great information. If you'd like to know the skinny on genetic alteration, some of the science and ethics behind it, please give it a watch. Earn It bill. It seeks to end encryption in the USA. It would be a huge hit to online free speech. If the bill only ends encryption in the USA, how does it work when Americans interact with encrypted sites registered to other parts of the world? It would also obliterate our ability to work from home. Absolutely ridiculous that the government is encouraging businesses to equip their employees with the ability to do their job from home quarantine, then in the same week, block access to their company's network. What are they expecting us to do? Put our company's secrets and confidential communications in a publicly accessible domain? Are they ducking insane? Egypt and Ethiopia are close to going to war due to Ethiopia building a dam on the Nile River. Ethiopia is diverting some water and limiting water flow to Egypt. The Ethiopian government is refusing to honor previous agreements made that detail the rate at which they will fill the lake behind their dam, and they refuse to negotiate any further with the Egyptians. Does Ethiopia have the military strength to take on Egypt? I don't know much about Ethiopian military, but Egypt gets over $1 billion a year in military aid from the USA and have the largest standing army on the continent. Edit: wow, this got a lot of attention. To clarify, I was talking hypothetically, as some good commenters have pointed out an actual ground conflict between the two seems unlikely, as Egypt would have to either get the permission of Sudan and Sudan to move troops through their nations, or would have to invade them as well. Thanks for all the great responses. The locusts in Africa. Well, probably not in American news, but it's still pretty big news, Jesus, I'm not religious, but having two of the horsemen kicking around is pretty ducked. It's hitting Pakistan too, and China is prepping to send 700,000 ducks to stop the locusts. Easy to control, and one duck can eat 200 locusts a day. The government is trying to basically ban encryption and start imprisoning website owners if their users say the wrong things. Crisis. *HAPPENS**GOVERNMENT. Time to start taking more civil liberties from our people. Has something recent happened on this front? I can't seem to find anything about it. That guy that was the second person ever to be cured of HIV. Technically that happened a long time ago. Has still cured, as was expected, like 3 years later. Something to be hopeful about when storms arrive in darker skies, when rains are rolling in, when cold and bleaker breezes rise, and bitter winds begin, when nothing's just, when nothing's fair, when every right's a wrong, when all your days are hard to bear, and nights are twice as long. Remember this in all you do, to hope, my faithful friend. For there remains a hope or two, and storms are made to end. The insider trading scandal in Congress. It's ducking disgraceful. Politicians shouldn't be allowed to own stock. I mean, this is blatant, but it makes you wonder how many more subtle buy and sells were done on privy information. Edit: a few people talking about blind trusts. That's probably better than not owning stocks. Or mean they don't get to choose when to buy and sell. Yes, but wasn't this precipitated by Covid-19? Or is there another scandal I'm not aware of? Brexit. I almost miss it. I do miss it. It never affected me, but I loved hearing British people yelling at each other when I turned on NPR, and the whole thing just sounded really cool. Brexit was with me through 3 different homes and 2 different countries. The ozone layer is getting better. This is the first positive news I have read in this thread. Yes, the Hong Kong protests are still ongoing. The Chinese government is getting more heavy-handed now that everyone's attention is focused elsewhere. The nth sex crime case in Korea. Please read about it if you can. It's absolutely horrifying. Edit: wow, did not expect this many responses. First time I've ever received so many replies. I see that some of you want to know more details, so I will leave a link to a blog post that someone posted on Naver. It's detailed summary of what it's all about. But please do not read if you can't handle graphic content. It's very violent and sexual content, and I don't want to trigger anyone. Read with a strong heart. End through Naver blog post. Victims including middle school students. I don't think I want to look into this any more than that. Those poor girls. The fact that there were like 260,000 people participating, and that is the worst part. 260,000. Bill Gates leaving Microsoft. Whoa. Bill Gates left Microsoft 12 days ago. I don't think it changes much. He was on the board, not running daily operations. I doubt they would ignore him if he made a suggestion. Though what? Country leaders trying to secure their position as heads of state for unlimited duration. Example, Russia and Ukraine. Edit. Okay guys, like many people have pointed out in the comments, Ukraine is not one of the countries pulling this chiz. I kinda mixed up Ukraine and Hungary, so yeah, that happened. Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. It took you this long? I couldn't find any news about Zelensky or anyone else extending their term. Can you share a link? The earthquake in Zagreb. Can't go outside because coronavirus. Can't stay inside because earthquake. That was a fun day. Weinstein, the bill Congress is trying to push through to end encryption, voter suppression. The list could go on. Even Weinstein getting coronavirus barely seemed to be a blip on the news radar. Weinstein was confirmed to have the coronavirus. Were you talking about that or his sentencing? I know this is COVID-19 related, but the pubs are shut here in Ireland. The pubs are shut in Ireland. You know when Wally Coyote runs off a cliff and is hanging in midair with feet still spinning desperately? That's what this feels like. I know what you feel like, mate. Here in Bavaria, the place with the Oktoberfest, the beer gardens are closed. It's horrible. Sad days for an Irish man. I feel sorry for you. That all the millions of dollars we raised for the people affected by the bushfires in Australia has maybe vanished. I've spoken to a few people whose houses burnt down, and they haven't seen a cent. Where did the money raised go, I wonder? The money that went to reputable organizations will still be handed out for a while. Those orgs know that the need lasts a lot longer than the news spotlight and public attention. Even worse for the tourist towns that are now not getting any traffic over Easter and likely until at least summer. One of my family members is involved with the Red Cross. It's taking a while to give the money to the ones in need as they are shuffling through thousands and thousands of applications daily, and a lot of them are scammers trying to get free money. So trying to decipher that is what is hard. Thief helped a fair amount of people, but it's just taking a while. All the workers have been trying their hardest. Shame media portrays such a bad picture of their efforts. The fast tracking of a silent bill through the Senate to dismantle encryption in the name of protecting the children from exploitation on the internet. While everyone is trying to stay home, healthy, and worry about the next weeks and months of their lives, they're pushing this one through during all the SARS-CoV-2 distraction. It even comes with the specious naming of the EarnIt, trying to get this railroaded through quickly before anyone has a chance to notice, and we can't roll it back. The main issue with this proposed bill is that it actually does nothing whatsoever to protect or prevent child exploitation on the internet, and dismantling encryption across a broad range of products, while threatening companies with significant fees and fines for non-compliance, is fear-mongering. If anyone wants to stop the EarnIt Act, you can sign here. We need at least 100,000 by April. Genocide in Myanmar. It's been going on for a while, and only recently has there been a vote on if it's a problem. It's already spring. Holy chiz. You're right. EarnIt Act. Pornhub Premium is currently free for everyone. Also, the petition to get Pornhub criminally investigated for hosting rape and underage content reached 500,000 signatures. It'll get downvoted for saying it, but it was being talked about before all this hit, and would probably be talked about now if it hadn't. Except not really. They have almost always offered free trials, and you still need to provide a credit card. EarnIt. Maybe not the biggest, but ones that cold gotten way more traction. Linda Fastein sues Netflix, claiming they defamed her character with "When they see us Greenland and Antarctica are melting 6 times faster than they were in the 1990s." Shinna pulls credentials from journalists at 3 major US publications. Australia is recovering somewhat from the disastrous fire season, but there's still the fear the next one could be just as bad or worse. Reply: if you'll want more stories, edit. Okay, you wanted more. Here's some more. Police on Greece's border with Turkey used tear gas and water cannon to repel hundreds of migrants trying to get into the country. Tom Brady leaves the Patriots for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was an attempted mass shooting /assault in Garden Grove. Cat teachers union strike concerning failed negotiations. Blind man fails citizenship test after being denied braille. Edit 2. As u/sing and play 65 pointed out, the original student protest link was about the teachers union striking about failed negotiations. I actually mixed it up with this story, which is about students at Kennedy Catholic High School who planned a protest about 2 gay teachers pressured to resign. Tom Brady has quit the New England Patriots and signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All the insane shit going on. This is the one thing that I'm still struggling to wrap my mind around. Maybe because I have always imagined what it would be like to have a worldwide crisis, and there is some degree of fascination to actually see it happen, but there is just no place in my brain to imagine Tom Brady on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. China trying to extend its reach further into the South China Sea. That's not news. It's always been like that. Earthquake in Zagreb 3 days ago. Corona and earthquake damage are 2 news in the news. The fact scientists discovered a new dinosaur that was the size of a hummingbird, and they also found a new planet behind Pluto in our solar system. Edit. Thank you to all the kind people who pointed out that the new planet they found is actually an exoplanet. Source: edit. Reaper of Death Tyrannosaur discovered in Canada. NASA planet hunter finds its first Earth-size habitable zone. World found those too, but not sure if these are the ones Finneckfox_Queen meant. If not, I'll fix it right up. Edit. Got the first one wrong. Sorry about that. Finneckfox_Queen meant this one. Forget Batman. New species of bat-winged dinosaur discovered. The natives in Canada are still mad about the pipeline, but no one cares anymore. It's sad, really. News is sometimes just talked about once for a day and never talked about again. The people in the news stories still wants people to keep thinking about them, but everyone's just moved on. Or news is covered up by bigger news, like all the stuff in this post. In Scotland, former First Minister being cleared of rape charges. Accusations from 9 separate women. And apparently there was insufficient evidence to convict. For the record, he was found not proven for one, which is a weird quirk of the Scottish legal system, which is 4 cases when you think they may have done it, but the evidence isn't quite there for a firm guilty. Edit. It turns out my understanding wasn't quite right. It was based on how a solicitor friend described it to me. However, studies have shown this may be exactly how jurors are using this system, and that sexual assault campaigners want the verdict removed for this reason, as it is making it harder to secure convictions in rape cases when jurors choose to misapply the verdict and hedge. Isn't the US government trying to take away encryption right now? Yes, see the Earn It Act. Scientists found the first ever living animal, a parasite, that doesn't need oxygen to survive. This was in February. Link here. Need subscription. But interesting abstract discovery confirms that adaptation to an anaerobic environment is not unique to single-celled eukaryotes, but has also evolved in a multicellular parasitic animal. Hence, H. Salmonicola provides an opportunity for understanding the evolutionary transition from anaerobic to an exclusive anaerobic metabolism. When I suggested that extraterrestrial life could exist on a planet without oxygen due to them having different needs than human life, my year 9 science teacher suggested I was stupid and that all life needs oxygen to survive. Hoss the stupid one now, Peter. My daughter lost her Peppa Pig doll. It's a pretty localized emergency, but apparently it takes precedence over everything else. I'm locked in the bathroom now, self-isolating, hoping this will all be over soon. We have a playhouse outside in our backyard, and my little brother left his Elmo doll in the playhouse during a storm. The playhouse flooded, and Elmo was submerged, so we had to go on a rescue mission to get him. That PG&E was responsible for the California fires, and plead guilty to manslaughter of 84 people, only 2 days ago, and already slid off the front page. 2020 presidential election, Afghanistan, Syria or China and USA trade wars. Oh, and pretty much all of South America. What's going on in South America? We're about to lose the Amazon rainforest to a perpetual feedback loop that will turn it into savanna, but nobody is talking about it. The pandemic really covered up the global warming effects, not to mention the human effects on the planet. This will bite back worse than the pandemic, just a thought. Germany accepting suicide as a basic human right. Here's a Reddit post about it. Him moving straight away. Kenny Rogers parting. With all this COVID-19 going on, Kenny sure knew when to fold M. Prince Andrew trying to defend his A. Prince Andrew being a pedophile. No one talks about that anymore. Prince Charles is isolating in Balmoral with COVID-19. Andrew is isolating in Windsor with Rebecca, 14. NCAA basketball. We have enough madness at the moment. Earn it Bill. Nike, Adidas and Apple products being produced by Uyghurs in concentration camps. Forced labor in concentration camps. The full phone call between Kanye West and Taylor Swift from 2016 leaked, and it's been the only thing my Twitter has been talking about. Covid. Kanye West is over. Covid. So did Kanye actually ask her permission and Taylor was psing, or was it the other way around? The Great Barrier Reef is getting hit by its third major bleaching event in the last 5 years. One of Joe Biden's accusers just gave an interview for the first time, and guys, it's bad. He cornered her, penetrated her with his fingers, and got angry when she resisted. I can't get it to link on mobile, but her name is Tara Aid. Favorite part of this is people who denied the Ford Kavanaugh stuff now have to do mental gymnastics as to why the Joe Biden stuff is for real though. All the chisty bills that are trying to quietly be pushed through, mostly bailing out multi-billion-dollar companies and trying to make abortion illegal. Texas decided abortion isn't a necessary procedure. Ohio is trying, but Planned Parenthood refuses to shut down. The Dodge just asked for emergency powers to indefinitely detain people without trial. That's pretty concerning to me. If you're interested in the details, here is a link to an article. The concentration camps holding 2 million Muslims in China. The second person in history has been cured of HIV. Not treated, cured, as in they no longer have it. This is a huge step in making HIV/AIDS a curable disease. It was a death sentence. If you had it, you could only count your days. After Keith Haring, a very successful artist that died from AIDS, donated a large portion of his net worth to HIV/AIDS research and started the Keith Haring Foundation that focuses on AIDS research and education, it became something people could live with and was no longer an inevitable death. Now, 2 people have had their HIV cured. This is the start of something big. If AIDS/AIDS can soon be cured as easy as other STIs, then Keith Haring, Freddie Mercury, and everyone else that have died from AIDS complications will be able to rest easy. Second cured source. Keith Haring Wiki. Keith Haring Foundation edit. Spelling. In Australia, effectively a war crime our elite forces committed in Afghanistan. Here is the story from ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, which features the video and also a blow-by-blow of the encounter. There's a video of a squad of SAS confronting a man in a field. He is compliant and unarmed. The SAS guy asks, "Want me to drop this nunt?" a couple of times and is told to radio the superior. He does, but you can't hear the response. He then shoots the man. There have been stories breaking in the past of other very questionable or ducked up activity by the SAS in Afghanistan, but, as far as I know, that never had video accompanying it. The video of this encounter confirms there wasn't some misunderstanding or panic. Just a cold-blooded killing. If I may wear my tinfoil hat for a moment, it's terribly convenient for the government and armed forces that this news broke in the middle of this crisis. A lot of people I know either didn't see this break or only read the headline and assumed it was some kind of misunderstanding. Edit. Added link for those interested. Laws to eliminate encryption and albeit privacy. Earn it bill. Second person cured of AIDS. Locusts in Africa. Evidence is building that a major extraterrestrial impact occurred 800 years ago that likely caused global destruction. The impact likely caused the extinction of many large mammal species in North America, including multiple species of elephants/mastodons, giant sloths, giant bears, giant beavers, camels, etc. At this date, there are many sites around the globe that include nanodiamonds, magnetic spherules and platinum group metals that are associated with such impacts. There is also evidence of major burning of forests and other plant material, black mat layer and tons of evidence for massive flooding in North America, suggesting floodwater thousands of feet deep caused dramatic erosion effects in northeastern portions of the US. New Zealand recently passing laws legalizing abortion. USA bombing the hell out of Iraq. Maybe, in the science realm of news, the asteroid that will pass by on the 28th of April. Rod Rosenstein letting Walmart off the hook for opioid deaths. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Hopefully how the US government is trying to get rid of end-to-end encryption. Steve Irwin's daughter getting married today. The erosion of civil liberties under the cover of COVID-19. Putin making it legal for him to continue to be president until 2032. Chelsea Manning released from prison papers incident. Let's not forget all the rich and powerful people who were/are most likely molesting children and getting away with it. The Earn It Act, which is trying to get rid of end-to-end encryption. Would presidential election should oil price war and Turkey/Greek relations. 2020 Olympics preparations and 2020 Euro football, soccer, and Liverpool winning the Premier League for the first time in IDK long, but they won't be see a man from China has more of an impact stopping them than actual football teams. I think the Hong Kong protests would still be pretty big. Biden's mental health disintegrating more with each appearance. Seriously, for his own good he needs to retire. As someone who lives in Nashville, it's a shame how the tornado that went through Nashville killed 25 people and destroyed so much, but nobody cared because of COVID-19. Harvey Weinstein getting convicted and going to prison. I feel like everyone just blew over that one. Animal Crossing. How your liberties and freedoms are being destroyed in the US by both parties getting ready to pass the Patriot Act 2.0, called the Earn It Act. While you're distracted by all this, you'd think two parties that hate each other working together would be newsworthy, especially if it was about to destroy any remaining privacy you had left. But I guess not. Continue panicking. Pigeons mysteriously fall dead and disappear. Government's too busy with coronavirus to change the batteries in all the birds. I'm scared because the smart people are the ones who will try to social distance and may not vote, but the stupid people won't be scared of COVID and will go vote. I think you know what that means. Oh my, you watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.